One more. Listening to myself talk all fucking day is not ideal, so I need this. So, welcome back, and good morning. It is a sunny day here on the Oregon coast. Summer's gearing up, and I am feeling quite perturbed about my creative progress, so I thought that I'd talk it out to the camera as I do. Thank you all so much for being my audience, and I hope you enjoy the video. I have a lot more cooking up. I have a lot more coming out for the summer, so I hope that you'll be present and stick with me as I try to figure out a more consistent posting schedule. Art block. What a huge, daunting, monstrous fucking thing to conquer. What a thing to talk about. And you know, it's such a topic because every artist goes through it. It's not something that anybody is immune to who's in the creative world. We all fucking have these periods of just dry spells where we can't get anything turning in our brains. We can't put it on paper. Everything we do put on paper looks and sounds like shit. That's actually the artist curse though. Like we all think our artwork looks like shit. We are our own greatest critics after all, but sorry, someone on PayPal's been trying to scam me for the past 2 years. Give me a second. Sorry, anyways, I'm back. We are our own greatest critics. That's common artist law. We can't ever look at our art and be able to see it as it is. We're always comparing it or minimizing the fuck out of it. Art block is interesting though in that our greatest criticisms grow so big that we functionally cannot do anything creative-wise. I mean, it becomes such a chore to pick up that pencil. There's just no pleasure in doing it. And this doesn't necessarily apply to just the arts too. I mean, having a creative block encompasses all things that we enjoy. But for the sake of the video, I'm gonna narrow it down to art. I'm gonna narrow it down to art and writing. Now, for the sake of credibility and not overcomplicating things, we're gonna leave the psychological factor out of it. This is all gonna be theory. This is all gonna be what I think of it. I'm sure that there are tens of thousands of studies that can tell you exactly why it is so hard to set your brain back into motion when creating. I'm sure that there is a psychological reason for that involves a whole lot of fucking numbers and data and practices and psychotherapy that I don't want to get into. So we're gonna take the very broad bits and pieces from that and apply it to a more general, my general theory as to why I, at least, suffer so hard from it and how I'm progressively getting out of it. Because that's useful. Now, the very common saying that kind of encompasses my general feeling towards art block is comparison is the death of joy. And I mean, we've all heard that. We've all heard at one point in our life and contextualize it to something. But it's really quite true. Now, as artists, as writers, none of us are original. None of us are an original of anything. We will always be a reference of a reference of a reference. Which isn't bad. It's beautiful that we can all put our twist on what we love and what we're attracted to, and we can make it and mold it into our own thing. But I find it especially hard when you have a visual medium to not think yourself into this fucking death loop of looking around you and seeing all of these artists and all of these talents that you value and not comparing yourself to the point where you do not feel compelled anymore to pick up a pencil. I think a lot of art block does start with comparison. I think that if it is not in comparison to someone else, it's in comparison to ourselves. We're looking at these projects that we're doing, or we're looking at these works in progress, and we're either thinking, I don't have the motivation to finish that, or I don't think that this is going to be as good as the time I did it this time, or this does not look as good as I wanted it to, so we just feel compelled to stop. It is more comfortable to set down our tool and think to ourselves, okay, I'm done with this piece, and then never pick it up again than to persevere and keep doing it. Because that's what it comes down to, is that art block is a comfortable state. It's painful, and it's still grating, and you still look at that and you think, God, why can't I do that? But it is a lot easier to say, I can't do that, or I won't do that, than to do it. It's easier to not necessarily give an excuse, but to give a reason as to why you can't than to simply do. Because once we've thought ourselves into this hole, once we've compared ourselves into this hole, it is a fucking battle to get out. Because what I've learned is that once we do, the next series of creations that come after art block is either going to be a hit or miss in how we interpret our art and how we deem our art as worthy. Like, okay, I'm out of the art block, I'm creating again. Do I like this art? which is a hard fucking thing to contextualize as an artist, because it's like, of course not. Of course I don't like this shit. Of course I don't like this, but do I have the bearings on myself as an artist after this prolonged break to be resilient to that kind of thought loop, to that kind of thought process? Art block is hardly this time in our lives where we're being like reflective, and it's like a vacation in which we can like really take a step back and contextualize our art and appreciate it for what it is. Never that. Never that. Because typically when somebody does come out of some sort of art block, it's hitting the ground running. It's like, shit, I'm here, okay. Pencil in my hand, a paintbrush in my hand, fucking fingers on the keyboard, like we're going, we're running. I do think that art block can be brought into more of almost like a symptom akin to something else, because so rarely do artists just stop doing what they're doing because they don't feel like it. This is our passion, this is our livelihood, this is how a lot of us make money. In the event that we just stop doing it, best believe that there's something else going on. As is the case when anybody stops doing something that they enjoy and that they're passionate about. There's usually something deeply rooted in ourselves that makes us cease doing the things that we enjoy. And if it was as simple as just doing it, art block would not be this widely discussed thing. Art block would not be this thing that's been trivialized and talked about in all artist circles since art was a fucking thing. Of course, it wasn't called art block back then. I don't know what they called it in like the 1800s. Melancholy of the deranged, I don't know. And it's because it's this like widely complex thing. There's not a lot of like linear answers to the fact. There's no cut and dry, okay, here's what you do. And when you look up art block on YouTube, there's a lot of like, just ease into it, baby steps, draw one thing every single day. But like, I've tried that shit and that doesn't work for me. Like, that fully does not work for me. Like, drawing one thing every day I don't know if maybe that's just me and I'm alone in that, but routine didn't necessarily help, because art already to me is routine. So being told to just simply resume it but like narrow it down a little bit more was just not helpful, because I can't water down or suppress or make this thing that I'm so passionate about smaller, if that makes sense. Like, I can't chop it up into something that's more like digestible to me, because it's not a matter of it being digestible in the first place. It's a matter of having the will to actually do it, and why I do not have the will to do it. Getting out of art block, at least for me, took a matter of finding the root of why I was experiencing less joy in all aspects of my life, and why I cut off my creative self. Because like, that just doesn't happen, you know? Like, again, we don't just stop doing it because we want to stop doing it. Like, something happened within my life or within myself or within my mindset to block this creativity, and that needs to be unblocked. For me, it was comparison. It was this hesitancy. It was this feeling of shame that I'm not good enough, that my art is not good enough, that it does not deserve to be seen, and that I don't have the it factor. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh my god, fuck the it factor. Fuck the it factor. What the fuck does that mean? It is damn near impossible, and I'll be the one to say this, it is damn near impossible to feel validated as an artist without recognition or monetary gain or being simply seen as an artist. So for a good 2 years, aside from the occasional one-off fucking drawing, I just did not create. I got back into writing there for a little bit, but I just didn't create anything. I would sit there and I would consume the media of others. I would consume the posts of other people creating and writing and doing the poetry and the things that I wanted to do. Sitting there on my ass thinking, well, I can't do it like this person, so I'll post my art when it starts looking the way I want it, and oh my god, fuck that. Like, what a fucking victim. What a victim. That is not the kind of artist I'm going to be, and that is the kind of artist that I actually fucking despise listening to as well. When I have to sit there and listen to somebody drone on and on about how their art isn't good enough, or that, like, well, this person does it this way, like, I fucking glaze over. Like, full fucking, like, sedatives, like, I just gotta fucking elephant trunk in my neck, just folding. Cause I really, God, it is so agitating sitting there listening to somebody throw themselves this pity party, creative-wise, about why they just aren't good enough to put themselves out there. And it's like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to fucking be that. Because I figure that regardless of if it's shitty, regardless of if I dislike it, regardless of if other people make fun of it, I had fun doing it. I enjoyed doing it. It's a piece of my soul that I am choosing to put out there. Because regardless of how it looks, at least I'm doing the shit. At least I'm actually doing it. There are thousands of people, and millions, billions of people in this world who are artists and artistic, who are light years better than me, who are light years better than you, who are light years better than the great, who will live and die never showing their art because they live in this loop of pity. We all have potential in us. Talent is not something that you were born with, unless it's singing. Unless it's singing. But that's a whole other fucking thing. Talent is not something that you are born with. And if you want to sit there, a well of untapped potential, I'm not gonna stop you. Nobody is going to stop you. Because in the case that you do not want to tap into that well, that you want to continue being like this, nobody will help you. You will be an art block for the rest of your life. Because my solution for this, again, was identifying what part of myself died to give up art so easily, and it was comparison. It was a matter of being able to visualize what kind of artist I want to be to continue to do it. And I've said this, and this has been a quote on all of my social media, my long career on social media, through all the, different videos, that whatever. Creating art for art's sake has been a slogan of mine for so fucking long, and it's so true, because why else create? Why else create? Art is a vital part of our society, and I've already said this in my poetry video too, but it reigns true. Art is a vital part of our society. There is zero arguing that, and in each and every one of us there is a creative person. And the other side of this too as well is that, like, if you are an artist who creates and doesn't want to put their art out there, that's beautiful, that's fine. But it is still a matter of doing. Because that's the kind of artist you want to be. You want to create, but you don't want to show it to the world. That's your artistic identity. That's fine, that's beautiful. You want to create and you want to show it to the world. Beautiful. Again, perfect. You know what you have to do to be all of these things is you have to create. Now to wrap up my talking points, I think my general point is just like, find out which part of you fucking died to the hands of comparison. Find out which part of you decided that for some fucking reason your art isn't worth it anymore, because that's alarming. Art block is alarming because that means that something bigger is going on. It's not just, I don't want to do it, because that's not true. Of course you want to do it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Here's my latest piece, by the way. If it'll focus, question mark. There we go. I quite like him. He's fun. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my Patreon if you haven't already, and I hope you are all having a great summer. Bye.